I work at a meditation retreat in Bali. Last month, an American woman walked into our silent breakfast hall and gasped like she'd discovered a crime scene. She marched to the front desk, credit card already out, demanding a refund. "There's something wrong with your restaurant," she said. "Nobody's talking. Is this a cult thing?" I explained we're a meditation center. "Silence is the point." She stared at me. "But how do I know if the food is good if nobody's discussing it?" I told her she could taste it herself. She looked genuinely confused. "That's not how restaurants work." She left and wrote a review saying we forced guests into uncomfortable social experiments without warning. The website literally says, "Silent Meditation Retreat" in the name. Another guest asked if we had background music options for the meditation hall. When I said no, he offered to play Spotify from his phone at a respectful volume. A German woman once lasted 6 days. An American couple made it 40 minutes before the wife had a panic attack about the quiet. Here's what happened when Americans encountered actual silence. I'm a train conductor in Switzerland. An American boarded our scenic route through the Alps and immediately put in earbud. Normal enough. But 10 minutes later, she removed them, looked around in horror, and pressed the emergency call button. I arrived expecting a medical issue. She pointed at the other passengers. "Nobody's talking. Is everyone okay?" I explained that Swiss people often enjoy quiet during scenic ride. She wasn't satisfied. But what if someone needs help and can't signal because of the silence culture? I assured her people would speak if needed. She spent the next 20 minutes conducting wellness checks, leaning across aisles to ask passengers if they were doing all right emotionally. An elderly Swiss man finally said, "Madam, we are trying to enjoy the mountains." She told him she appreciated him, breaking his silence to communicate his needs. She later complained to my supervisor that Swiss trains don't foster community engagement. Her suggestion: mandatory conversation topics posted in each car. I manage a library in Stockholm. An American student asked where our collaboration spaces were. I showed him our group study rooms. He said, "No, I mean, where do people just hang out and talk?" I explained libraries are quiet spaces. He looked at me like I'd said something medieval. But how do you build intellectual community without discourse? I suggested our cafe downstairs. He shook his head. That's segregating social learners. He tried starting a study group in the main reading room. After multiple warnings, I asked him to leave. He gathered his things and announced loudly, "This is why Nordic countries rank low in innovation. They don't." He wrote an essay about how European libraries suppress collaborative learning. It got published in his college newspaper. His professor, who was Finnish, gave him a D. I work at a monastery guesthouse in Japan. An American couple booked our traditional Zen experience, which includes communal silent meals. They arrived talking loudly, which was fine in their room. But at dinner, they continued full volume. Other guests looked uncomfortable. I gently reminded them about the silence practice. The husband said, "Oh, we don't do that." I explained it's part of the experience everyone agreed to. The wife chimed in, "We're not Buddhist, so it doesn't apply to us." I clarified it's about respect for other guests. The husband had a realization. Wait, so Japanese people actually eat in silence regularly? Like, in their homes? I said some do, some don't, but here yes. He was horrified. That's so dystopian. How do you connect? His wife suggested we implement silent and social meal seatings. When I said no, she asked if their talking bothered people because of cultural differences in volume tolerance. A French guest finally said, "You are simply loud." They left the next morning. Before departing, the husband told me he worried about Japanese children not developing communication skills. His own kids, he mentioned, did great in debate club. I run a spa in Iceland. We have a traditional hot spring where conversation is discouraged to preserve the meditative atmosphere. Signs are posted in 5 languages. An American woman got in, saw everyone sitting quietly, and decided they needed help. She started doing icebreakers. Let's go around and share where we're from. Nobody responded. She tried again. Okay, let's do favorite. Favorite type of tea. A Norwegian woman said, "We are quiet here." The American smiled encouragingly. "I know it's hard to open up, but you'll feel better." She then made it her mission to create connection. She asked each person direct questions they felt obligated to answer. When she got to an older Icelandic man, he stood up and left. She turned to me concerned. "I think he might be depressed. Should someone check on him?" I explained he left because he wanted silence. She was shocked. From human connection? She asked if Iceland had therapy resources, because isolation like this was concerning. I told her Icelanders value quiet reflection. She nodded slowly, like I'd confirmed something sad. "It's the long winters, isn't it?" Before leaving, she gave me a book about combating loneliness through active engagement. It's still in our lost and found. I'm a museum guard in Amsterdam. Our modern art section has a sound installation that's literally 4 minutes of silence in a dark room. People sit, experience the absence of sound, then leave contemplating. An American man entered, sat down, waited 30 seconds, then stage whispered, "Is it broken?" Another American whispered back, "Maybe it's loading?" They waited another minute. The first man got up and knocked on the wall. "Hello?" He left to find me. "Your sound thing isn't working." I explained the silence is intentional. He squinted at me. "So we paid museum admission to sit in a quiet room?" I said it's conceptual art about absence and presence. He was quiet for a moment, then asked, "But what's it supposed to sound like when it works?" I tried explaining there is no sound. He asked if there was a reference track. Like, the sound it's not playing? His friend joined us, equally confused. They both looked at me like I was scamming them. Finally, the friend said, "Is this a European humor thing?" I said no. They left, and I later saw them in the gift shop asking if we sold the actual audio version. The clerk had no idea what they meant. They bought a bookmark and left looking betrayed. I work at a Finnish sauna resort. Traditional Finnish sauna culture involves long periods of silence, broken only by essential communication. An American family didn't grasp this. They brought a waterproof speaker for sauna music. When I said no devices, the father argued that silence was unsafe. What if someone passes out and we don't hear them fall? I explained we've managed for centuries. He wasn't convinced. In America, lifeguards use whistles for a reason. I told him we're all adults sitting in plain view of each other. He developed a new concern. But how do you know if everyone's comfortable if they don't say? A Finnish woman finally spoke up. "If uncomfortable, we leave." He found this insufficient. That's assuming everyone has the emotional tools to advocate for themselves. He suggested implementing a check-in system. Every 5 minutes, everyone says their comfort level, 1 through 10. When everyone stared at him, he got defensive. "I'm just trying to optimize the experience." He then asked if Finnish people had higher pain tolerance because of the silence culture. His teenage daughter looked like she wanted to dissolve. They left early. On his way out, he told me he got why Finland has low population growth now. It doesn't. It has standard European rates. His math was confidently wrong. I'm a gondolier in Venice. Most tourists enjoy the quiet glide through canals, listening to water lap against ancient buildings. An American couple requested the authentic experience, which I provided. 5 minutes in, the husband asked when I'd start singing. I explained most gondoliers don't actually sing. He looked crushed. But that's the whole thing. I told him I could, for an extra fee. He declined but looked unhappy. His wife tried to salvage it. Can you at least talk to us? I asked. What about? Anything. Tell us facts, stories. We can't just sit here. I began explaining the history of the building we were passing. She interrupted. Do you have any personal stories? Like, more relatable? I shared a brief anecdote about learning to gondolier from my father. The husband perked up. See, that's good. Keep that going. For 30 minutes, they requested continuous narration. If I paused for more than 20 seconds, one would prompt me. So what happened next? Or, tell us about that bridge. When we returned, the wife said it was better than expected once you started engaging. She tipped well but mentioned in her review that Venice gondolas require significant passenger effort to facilitate conversation. Her suggestion for improvement: pre-planned discussion topics for guests uncomfortable with silence. The husband added his own review praising me specifically for overcoming the cultural barrier of Italian quietness. I'm from New Jersey. I moved here for the peace. Some tourists chase adrenaline. Others chase Instagram shot. Americans, I've learned, chase noise. Not music or conversation necessarily, just the assurance that something is happening, that silence hasn't somehow won. The quiet isn't empty to them. It's a problem requiring a solution. Next time, I'll tell you what happened when Americans encountered cultures where "how are you?" isn't rhetorical. The confusion was extraordinary. The attempts to explain American small talk took longer than actual deep conversations. One man tried to teach a German cashier about social lubrication. She called security.